Hello. So a big question on the mind of collectors who are interested in the so-called Black Widows. And in this presentation by Black Widow, I would mean a BYF coded Mauser Luger chamber dated either 42 or 41. And the reason for the name is that everything is blacked out: the trigger, the takedown lever, the safety lever, and the mags, FXO type mags with the black Bakelite base. So that would make it so-called Black Widow, which is a name, a descriptive name, has nothing to do with Germany and the history of Lugers. It's more like a marketing name. But that's what those, and there's an appeal for those guns. I mean, they can, a gun like this can do, can go for $4,000, and if it's a rig, up to $6,000. So those are very expensive compared to the other Lugers that would have equivalent Mausers that would have the wood Lugers that have the wood grip. So you're talking about close to doubling in value. And that's mainly because of those Bakelite, black Bakelite grips. The Bakelite grips, I might refer to them as just black plastic, and there's a brown Krieghoff type Bakelite. So if I use the word plastic, I really mean, in this case, genuine Bakelite. Now, the problem is, so the question, the big question is, did this gun or a given Black Widow that you pick up at random, did it leave the Mauser factory with those black grips? Okay, so we're going to assume that the grips are past the Bakelite test. So we're not going to be talking about non-Bakelite, replicas. So if they are indeed Bakelite, the question is, did those grips leave the Mauser factory on this particular gun that in this case has serial 135? This happens to be 135C. Okay? There are very, very few BYF 41s that also left the factory with the brown grips, the brown Bakelite grips. This is one of them. There's another one reported. There are more of them, relatively speaking, in the 1940 chambered date 42s, but the 41 BYF, there are two known to exist. Now, I didn't pay a premium for this gun like I would have paid for a Black Widow, because collectors, this is, everything is black except the grips are brown, and they're really not interested in the brown. Now, a brown grips, those happen to be the HK, the Krieghoff grips, and this is one loose, genuine brown Bakelite grips. I paid $400 for this one. They're only between $400, $450, and they are beautiful. And one can buy them and fit them on a wood-gripped BYF Luger, but that doesn't make a Black Widow, and that $500 is really would just an increase in the cost of the Luger itself, and there wouldn't be many buyers for that. So it's really not increasing the value. But it's a different story with the Black Widows. Okay, a loose set of grips like this has been selling between $800 to $1,200 if they're not chipped, okay, in good shape. So putting those on a wood grip BYF 41 or 42 to make a Black Widow, you're adding to the cost of your Luger about $1,000. But that's worth it for some sellers, vendors, because that would increase the value of the gun by another 1,000. So there is a profit, okay? Another 1,000 beyond, the grips. So the grips would be 1,000, but the gun would go to 1,000 beyond that, or even more. Okay, so there's been since the 80s, maybe a bit earlier, what's called a grip, Bakelite grip swapping deals, Mausers, BOF Mausers, swapping the wood with the black Bakelite grips, okay? And that's market driven, and it's still, this is very, still going on. The price of those Lugers are high, and that's a lucrative business. So where are those grips coming from? Now, it doesn't make sense for you to take a gun with that, a BYF Mauser Luger that came with those black Bakelite grips, and take them and, swap them and put them on another Mauser with wood grips to make a Black Widow. That does not make sense, okay? Unless the gun is really rusted and bad and the grips are still in good shape, then maybe, that might make sense. So there's been a source for some very good replicas of those grips that have been used to, be placed on, to replace the wooden grips. By the way, this is a long barrel, a John Dewey target conversion, but it's an originally matched Luger, and the grips, matched to it. I'll talk about that in a bit. Okay, so my research have a large database of reported BYF 4142 Mauser Lugers with both the black grips and the brown wood grips. And, scholars have estimated, like Halleck and Jan Still, that maybe the 41s, there was about 15% of those Lugers left Mauser with the black plastic or black Bakelite grips, 15%. And as we transition into the 1942 production, that increased toward the end of the run to over 35%. So on average, if you pick up one of those guns with the black grips, a Black Widow, my research indicates that there are, for every one genuine Black Widow, by that I mean the Luger had left Mauser with those black Bakelite grips. For every one, there are two that did not. Two Black Widows who have genuine Bakelite black grips, but those grips did not leave with the mother factory with the gun. Okay, so the ratio is 2 to 1. Now, can we tell which guns left the factory with the black Bakelite grips, or where we say the grips belong to the Luger? It's very, very difficult, But there are indicators that would increase our confidence or increase the probability of the grips having been with the gun since it left the Mauser factory, and this is what I'm going to talk about for the rest of the video. Now, okay, let me just fix my camera here. It wants to bend. Okay. Okay, so after, let me add that those are Soviet radiator grips, and they're really nice Bakelite. They tend to be a bit 4 grams heavier than the black grips on the Mauser, and they basically follow a pattern of what's called the type 3 or type 4. They're not perfect, the holes are different, this dimension here is shorter, but you know, they can be made. Those are post-war Soviet made. So if post-war those Bakelite grips can be made with this quality, then it's not difficult to imagine that the reproductions post-war Bakelite grips with high quality would have been reproduced. And this is the source of those grips. It's basically high quality reproductions that can fool even the experts, okay, as far as them being Bakelite. Okay. Jan Still in 2004, an author and renowned collector of Lugers, wrote, I'm going to read the sentence he wrote in 2004 on Luger forums. He said, near perfect replicas of Mauser and Krieghoff style black and brown grips are being manufactured. There is little question that the black plastic grips are being placed on originally wood grip by BYF 41 and 42 dated Lugers to create black widows and a high price. Okay, so let's take a look, before we get into those, let's take a look at a wood gripped 1940-42 Mauser. These happen to be original to the gun because they are, I'm going to take it off and show you that they are numbered 52 on the back of the grips. Now the first thing we look at the fitment, and those being war made grips, you don't expect the fitment to be as good as, say, a 1911 DWM. Okay, so this is you can see, if you run your nail around them, you can see that it's really not a smooth transition. They look nice, the wood is nice, and they fit generally okay, and they're a bit on the border here. There's some thickness to them, at least on this side. Okay, now let me take those grips. So we know they are original. No one is gonna get a 52, a wood grip and swap it with another wood grip. So this is the grip, and this is the back, and you can look. Let me see if I can zoom in. You can see the 52 over here. Okay, you can see the pattern of the logs here, the retaining logs. Okay, and very nice. Those were fitted over 80 years ago, so yeah, they're really in very good shape. Okay, now let's take the left one. The right grip, that was the left I just talked about, the right grip on the right of the gun. And again, it's in very good shape. And there's some random characters here, maybe worker marks, and this is the 52. Okay? Okay, so we know that those are original to the gun. Now, one interesting observation is, and I think this is something that no one had pointed to before or observed it, so this is a new piece of information, and it could be very relevant in this case. You see this dimple over here, or this circle mark? over here. You see it? Now this is because when this grip goes in here, okay, that is an imprint of this pin that holds the mainspring lever, if you like, the L-shaped piece here. So that holds it in place, and you see it on both ends. Now, when this grip is in the gun over like 80 years and you're holding the gun, shooting it and pressing on it, you know, there's a press over here. This is where the finger, let me zoom out. Okay, so there is, you know, we're pressing here. In fact, this has a little bit of a marking here. So we're putting pressure on both sides, and that pressure, we're putting the pressure mainly over here, and that over time, even without shooting the Luger, just by you know, handling it and gripping it with the your hand, you're gonna see that it's gonna leave that imprint. Okay, let me again see if I can focus. So it's a tiny circle over here. Okay. Now, put this away. Now let's get to the first Luger, this one here, the 41 BYF. Now this has the brown grips, and as I kind of suggested earlier in the video, that no one would care about putting those $400, $450 grips on a gun, swapping the wood with those, you know, to really not increasing its value. It would be pointless. And only two so far has been reported, one in the A block and this one in the V block that I have here. Now, if we look at the grips, you know, the fit is really good. And let's zoom a little bit. Okay, very nice fit even here, you know, and it is smooth all around. Okay, and you know, it's decent over here. It's a little bit raised, but it's a good fit, and you know, to the gun. Now let's take those grips apart. Let's take them out. Okay, so those are the Krieghoff type grips, and here's from the inside. And you see, you don't see too much of, you know, like recent fitting on them. So the fitment would tell us that it was really, especially if you look here, you know, was done a long time ago, maybe when the gun was put together at the factory. So I would suggest that this is those grips, the brown Bakelite grips, left Mauser factory with this gun, BYF 41, in 1941. Okay, and again, let's take a look at this pin over here, and let's see if Bakelite can reflect the pressure mark of that. And wow, here you go. You see that circle over here? So over a long period of time, if the grips have been with the gun as you shoot or you handle, this is a well-shot pistol, and you know, even by gripping the grips, you are putting that pressure mark on the grip to leave that tiny circle imprint on the grip. So that's another indication, the fitment of the grips. The grips also are correlated, their condition with the condition of the Luger. So and the nice fitment light, and you don't see the fitting marks as somebody who's really not, you know, like a gunsmith. Let me just put this away. Okay, have been fitting those grips on them after the war. Okay, so let's go back to this gun and try to do the same thing. Very nice grips. They reflect the nice condition of the gun. wow, the fitment is amazing. I mean, this is the type of fitment you would see on the higher quality DWM Lugers with the wooden grips. This is very, very nice fit. So that's a good sign. The condition matches that of the gun. Okay, and the fitment is absolutely gorgeous. Now let's take the grips out and see if we can see that circular mark. Now first you can see the handling mark. There's more pressure mark in the backlight over here where the hand goes, the finger goes. So that's a, you know, they'd be typical, you know, if those were the high quality reproduction or replica a bakelite from after the war, say the late 80s, 90s, and 2000s, you know, they would look perfect. So you want to steer away from the perfect looking, you know, grips. You want something where the hands handle the gun. You want to see some not discoloration, but maybe some fainting in the checkering, you know, the marking would be softer. Okay, so this is the grip, and if we look inside, those I think are either type 5 or 6. Okay, they're very hard to tell apart that the condition of the type 6 compared to 5 became a bit, you know, toward the end of the war. They were making those maybe in rushed those and bakelite grips, and you can see some non-smooth marking. Also the type 6, this is here wider than the type 5, so that would make this a type 6, but it is in very good condition. Okay, there's no, you see, fitment marks, no fitting. This is original fitting. So this is not the perfect or very good reproductions that someone would still have to fit on the gun, and you would see those file marking and so on. And let's take a look at the right hand side. Again, very nice grips. You don't see, you know, there's relatively smooth, no discoloration, no threads showing up because of filing. And here it is, the back of it. Very nice grip. Now let me go to the one from, so this is the left grip. Let's go back to the right grip. And is that circle due to this pin here? Is it left like the brown, the wood grips that I just showed, or the brown bakelite? You know, is it there? And it is there. It's a bit hard to see. Okay, let me do the reflection, but it is here. You see it? Okay, so that's a very good sign. That means those grips have been on this gun for a very long time. Very long time. By that I mean maybe there was 80 years. So these are indications that this is a genuine, if you want to use the term Black Widow, is a genuine Black Widow. Indication that those grips indeed left the Mauser factory, those black grips left the Mauser factory mounted on this gun. Can we say that with 100% confidence? No. Can we say that this is a very high probability that this is a Black Widow, meaning that, actually I shouldn't say being a Black Widow, I should say that those grips had left the Mauser factory with this particular serial number 135CBYF42 Mauser. I'd say this is very highly likely. Now there is one more piece to the puzzle here, and that is the the provenance. Now this gun came from the collection of Jan Still, and he had it since before 2000. And he said basically the Luger, these are his words from a posting in the Luger forum, this where he shows the grips front and back and mentions the serial number of the gun. And he says that this Luger was purchased from a fellow collector. A detailed check of the grips was made prior to purchase. So provenance, the nice fitment, the correlation between the condition of the grips with the condition of the gun, no sign of fitment, recent or relatively, filing down the grips to fit. It looks like originally they were done, they were placed there, and they're professionally fitted. And that circle, that imprint of the tiny circle on the grips, it happens with wood, it happens with Bakelite. Now, after this video, because this is a totally new piece of information on that circle, which I showed it to be also on this brown Bakelite grip. So what's going to happen next? Well, I think the collectors now are going to go and take the right hand grip and take a look if the circle is there. If it's not there and the grips are nice condition Bakelite, genuine Bakelite, we have a problem, Houston. Okay, maybe those are some of the near perfect replicas that Jan Still talked about of those black Bakelite grips. They look very nice, and they're placed on the Luger with, they'll show fitment, pronounced fitment marks on them, but no circle. So what is some vendors do, the dishonest ones, possibly go and try to introduce that circle. So I was hesitant on talking about this new discovery of that tiny circle mark on the Bakelite, as well as the wood grips of those Lugers, the Mausers, in particular the BYFs. I haven't looked at other Lugers, but you'll probably see it on other Lugers too, non-Mauser ones. So here you have it. So you're looking at a very high probability black widow. Thank you. Thank you for watching.